Have you ever dreamed of owning a BMW sport bike, but, without that massive price tag? Well, meet the G310RR. This is BMW's big answer for accessible performance. It promises that legendary RR experience just in a smaller, much more approachable package. But this bike is holding a really fascinating secret, one that might just change how you think about brands altogether. So let's peel back the layers and see what's really going on here.
I mean, just one look at the G310RR, and you can see its family resemblance, right? It's unmistakable. The aggressive lines, their sharp fairings. It's pretty much a direct design descendant of its much bigger track-shredding sibling, the S1000RR. BMW's goal here was crystal clear. They wanted to cram all that flagship racer DNA into their entry-level sport bike. And yeah, from a design standpoint, they absolutely nailed that premium look. Okay, but here's the twist in the story. This motorcycle isn't exactly a purebred BMW, born and bred in some high-tech German facility. Nope, it's actually the product of a really smart collaboration, and it shares almost everything. We're talking its frame, its engine, its very soul, with another very well-known motorcycle. It has an identical twin, and they both roll off the very same production line.
So in this explainer, we're going to untangle this whole fascinating story. We'll start with the origin of this partnership, then we'll dive deep under the hood, or fairings, I guess, to see what, if anything, is actually different. After that, we'll look at real-world performance and break down the true cost of ownership. And by the end, we're going to tackle the big question. Is that fancy badge worth the premium, or is the bargain the smarter buy?
So, how did this all even happen? Well, the story starts with a strategic alliance between two absolute giants of the industry. You got the German engineering powerhouse BMW Motorrad on one side, and the Indian manufacturing leader TVS Motor Company on the other. Their shared mission? To create a versatile, small-capacity motorcycle platform that they could sell all over the world. And the G310RR is one of the biggest results of that partnership. I absolutely love this quote from a journalist who drag raced these two bikes. It just perfectly captures what's going on here. They are, for all intents and purposes, identical twins. They were just adopted into different families, given different last names, and maybe most importantly, came with very different price tags. And here they are, side by side. So on your left, you've got the BMW G310RR, rocking that premium paint and that iconic blue and white roundel. And on the right, you've got the TVS Apache RR310. Now this is the bike that started it all, the original platform. It's always been celebrated for packing in tons of features and performance at a really competitive price.
All right, so let's strip away the fancy paint jobs and the shiny logos. How different are these two bikes really? It's time to get a little technical and see what separates these two machines where it actually counts.
In this chart, wow, it really reveals just how deep these similarities run. We are looking at the exact same 312cc reverse-inclined single-cylinder engine. It produces an identical 34 horsepower and the exact same amount of torque. Now on paper, one of the only real tangible differences is the brakes. The Apache often comes with these pedal-type disc brakes. They're designed to dissipate heat a bit better, while the BMW uses more conventional discs. And of course, there's that initial price difference.
And here's a look at the official spec sheet from BMW. What you'll find is that literally everything, from the engine's bore and stroke to the bike's overall weight and wheelbase, is a complete mirror image of its TVS twin. The key takeaway here isn't just that these bikes are similar. For all practical purposes, they are the same fundamental machine.
Okay. Specs on a piece of paper are one thing, but what actually happens when the rubber meets the road? Let's see how this all translates to real-world performance. Does that BMW badge actually come with a performance advantage you could feel?
Well, when it comes to top speed, there is absolutely no debate. Both manufacturers claim the exact same maximum velocity, 160 kilometers per hour. And if you put them in their most aggressive riding modes, track or sport, these bikes will pull right up to that number, running perfectly side by side.
And this has been proven over and over again in independent tests. We've seen drag races where these two go head-to-head, and the result is always a photo finish. You know what the biggest variable was? It wasn't the motorcycle, it was the weight of the person riding it. The performance is so identical that on a drag strip, you simply cannot declare a clear winner. It's that close. So what about when you're riding a little more sanely? Well, fuel efficiency is also identical. The official figures and the real-world numbers that owners are reporting all hover right around that 30 kilometers per liter mark, which for a performance-focused bike is actually pretty respectable.
So if they perform exactly the same, the decision has to come down to the ownership experience, right? I mean, what are these bikes like to live with every day? And, this is the big one,
What do they actually cost to maintain in the long run?
Now, you might think a sport bike is only good for short weekend rides, but listen to this. This owner took their G310RR on an absolutely epic 10,000-kilometer road trip in just 3 months. And they said the bike was surprisingly comfortable, even after riding for 12 hours a day. That just goes to show you that this core platform is super robust and way more versatile than its sporty looks might suggest.
But here is where the two ownership paths start to get really, really different. This is the approximate cost for just the first service on the BMW G310RR. Yep, that premium badge definitely comes with a premium price tag for maintenance, and that's a huge factor you've got to consider.
Okay, let's break that down. A standard service for the TVS is going to cost you about half of what it costs at a BMW service center. On top of that, TVS gives you a longer 5-year warranty compared to BMW's standard 3-year warranty. And look, make no mistake about this. You can't just take your BMW to a TVS shop to get cheaper service, or the other way around. The service networks are totally separate. And that means the long-term running costs are significantly lower for the Apache.
All right, we've looked at the specs, we've looked at the performance, and we've looked at the ownership costs. It's time to bring it all together and figure out how do you possibly choose between two motorcycles that are so similar but represent such different deals. So here's the final scorecard. Performance? It's a dead heat, a virtual tie. Features? We'll give a slight edge to the TVS for those pedal disc brakes. Ownership cost? That is a clear, decisive win for the Apache. But then you have the intangibles. That BMW badge carries a certain weight, a prestige that, for a lot of riders, is the most important factor. It represents a premium ownership experience that some people feel is worth every single extra rupee.
And so it all comes down to this one simple question. Do you choose the undeniable prestige and the premium feel of that BMW badge and accept the higher cost to get in and the higher cost to own it? Or do you go for the smart bargain, the TVS Apache, which gives you 99.9% of the same motorcycle for less money? In the end, the answer isn't really about which bike is better, but it's about what you, the rider, value most.